Hello and welcome to another Writerly Wittering's 5-minute review. This is a cup of Duchess Grey from Williamson's. Excellent tea, I can recommend it. Right, today a book that most people won't have heard of. I was sent this recently because I reviewed a book for the Historical Writers Association, which was an excellent book, published by Sharp Books. It had 10 writers writing 10 good-sized short stories, and it was really interesting, and I highly recommended a couple of authors. One of them was a guy called Peter Tonkin, and as a result he said, why don't I send you some of my books and you can see what you think of them? And this was the first one I picked up, mainly because it's called The Point of Death, and it's all about London in the 1590s. So I'll read the back blurb. The opening night of Romeo and Juliet. But it's not just the young lovers in the play who are star-crossed. Mercutio is found murdered in the middle of the play, but it's real, not stage blood that flows from his body. Tom Musgrove is hired by the theatre owners to solve the murder case as quickly and quietly as possible. The theatre's only just reopened after 2 years of plague, and they can't afford a scandal on their doorstep. Now, you might have guessed from that, this is a crime book, and it's set in Elizabethan England. Really interesting, actually. Now, it's so common that you will pick up a book that's a historical, and the research will not necessarily have been particularly intensive. I remember once picking up a book with Jane Austen as the investigator, and the author spoke of her putting hickory wood in the fire because it was a cold night, and the cicadas were chirping in Kent. Well, England's never had cicadas, and we also don't have hickory wood, so she wouldn't have put that on the fire, I'm afraid. Easy bits of failure to research like that can destroy the credibility of a book almost instantaneously. This did not have that. This is a really interesting crime book. It's a delightful start to a series of books starring Tom Musgrave. Now, I am constantly aware that I mustn't go too far explaining a story's plot, because that upsets people who think that they're having the story ruined for them, so I'm not going to go into that. What I will say is, this book gives you a very clear perception of what London was like in Elizabethan England. The research that has been conducted by Peter really drives the story along, and he doesn't fall into that dreadful error that so many authors have, where they just have to throw the research into the book just to prove how clever they are and how much decent information they've got. In this, it's research that just is natural, it flows, and you think, ye gods, was that right? And when you check, yes it is. Peter is a very good researcher, he's an extremely good writer. I really liked the lead character, Tom Musgrave, a guy who's been a soldier in the wars in the Netherlands, and who was fortunate enough then to get sent down to Italy to learn the modern ways of fighting with rapiers. Very believable, really interesting character. I thoroughly enjoyed the political aspects of this book, because Peter goes into the situation at the time. He's also a bit of a cryptographer, I've discovered. He enjoys working with puzzles. And all in all, I'd say it's a fantastically enjoyable book. Do I have any reservations about it at all? Only the standard thing, that is, this is a book that has been originally marked up, I think, for publication as an e-book, and as a result it's got that standard ruddy failing of having sentences broken in the middle. So you've got a sentence in a paragraph, it breaks off halfway through the sentence, and then a new paragraph starts with a continuation of that sentence. It's not a major thing. I think there were 4 or 5 occurrences in this. It's irritating when you see it, but yeah. I could make comment, Sharp Books is a small new imprint. I could make comments like that, but the biggest complaint I've got about seeing exactly that failure of editing and typesetting was in the latest Michael Connolly book. So it's not something that's just the preserve of smaller publishers. It's the sort of thing that can happen no matter how big a name you are as an author, no matter how big the publisher is. So that's a very minor thing. Generally, I really like the book. I like the way it's been produced. It has a nice matte cover, which worked well for me, and superb story. So well done, Peter Tonkin. Really enjoyed that. Thanks for sending it through for review. And if you want a new Elizabethan book, why not try Peter Tonkin? Very good series. Thanks a lot for watching. That's your 5-minute review for the week. I think it's about 5 minutes. And now I've got to get back to my latest edit. That's how far I've got through it. Lots to delete, lots to rewrite. I've got a lot to do. Help. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope that was enjoyable, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care. Cheers.